everybody. It is about that snowy outside right now, so we're going to talk about Winter LARPing. More importantly, how to not freeze to death in a Winter LARP. So, let's get to it. I have a bunch of stuff laid out here that I can go through and kind of show piece by piece my setup and how it differs from my normal setup. First things first, I'm already partially in my kit. It's hard to see because I have very little room in my apartment. So this is a normal, just regular, modern wicking shirt. You want a wicking shirt so it can get the moisture off your body, because even though it's going to be cold out, it's going to be freezing, it's going to be snowing, you want to make sure that you're not building up moisture on your skin, because that's how you get really cold, and that can lead to cold weather injuries, and that might be a problem. So, modern wicking shirt. I'm also wearing wool pants. These I got from Berg Schneider, or I would say I got, but my wife got them for me. They're very nice. They are 100% wool, felted, pretty windproof, but more importantly, pretty water resistant and very warm. I'm also wearing wool socks. Oh, that's a clump of either mine or my wife's hair. That's great. Anyway, so normally I would be wearing these. These are my linen pants. I don't actually know the proper name for them. Got a big gap in the middle. Anyway, I would normally be wearing these because they're breathable and lightweight. The problem is, it's cold, so I don't want to freeze. So we're putting that to the side. So what you can do here, because if you were setting yourself up in the way I am, I'm wearing a modern wicking shirt underneath, so if I wanted to, I could start putting on my insulating layers. These are wool, this is a wool sweater, wool vest, and then you could layer over top of it with, this is a linen long tunic that I have here. This one was from Grimfrost. Wonderful. All these things I'm going to be talking about, they're all available. I will give as many links as I can in the description. We don't get anything back from these people. These are literally just companies that I've found that are really good. Anyway, you can layer over top with your anachronistic clothing. So I could put on all of this stuff just over top here and then layer this over, just to make it look better. It's not necessarily going to feel better or anything like that, but it's also, I'm going to be wearing armor, so I'm going to be covering over it anyway, so it doesn't matter in which direction I go. If you're not wearing armor or don't want to wear armor, you can try and layer over top with this, or with any kind of anachronistic clothing over your modern stuff. I say modern, it's wool. Anyway, you have options. Oh, but speaking of armor, if you have chain, plate, splints, jack chain, any kind of metal armor, please, 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 be safe. That gets heavy, and that gets incredibly cold. You are not going to be able to maintain your temperature as much. I would recommend, if you have just plate, maybe for the next couple months until that clears away, just go without armor. It's not going to be as protective, but you'll be alive. So that's the important part. Anyway, I am going to do it a different way. I'm going to put my linen tunic on, because this is just another natural wicking layer, which is fine. The further away the sweat goes from your skin, the better. So I'm going to put this on, and then I'm going to layer over top my insulating layers. Okay. You can still definitely see the undershirt. Whatever. No one's going to fight you on it. Now, the reason I do it this way is because I am wearing armor. I want to be able to cool myself off quickly if I need to. I'm going to be wearing a thick gambeson and leather armor. Meaning if I get too hot, I want to make sure I can cool down so I don't sweat. The more I sweat, the colder I'm going to be. So I'm going to put my sweater and then my vest on and then my armor. Reason for it is because then I can quickly, if I wanted to, I can take off my armor, pull off a vest, put the armor back on. If I'm still too warm, do it again, take off the sweater this time, and go about it that way. Because this is basically just a padded jacket, so it's going to keep me warm regardless, but we'll get there. Okay. Sweater and vest are on. I know it's not very anachronistic and it's not very historically accurate. It's got a zipper, whatever. It's going to get covered by armor, and it's going to get covered by my hood as well. But before we get to that, more warmth on the legs, I have wool leg wraps. The part of the legs that's going to come in contact with the most cold is going to be your feet up to your knees. The rest of this actually kind of just regulates its own temperature. I would still recommend having warmth on, but I mean, I have kilts for a reason. This will stay warm on its own. Alright. Wool legs just above the ankle right there. And I kind of let the pants fold themselves over. Do a quick wrap. And there. Now I'm just gonna slowly go around. You want it not tight. You don't want to like cut off circulation to your leg, but you want it tight enough that it's not going to just bundle itself up and slide right off. But you also want it loose enough that it's actually going to trap air and keep you warm. Alright, I'm getting to the top here. And you want it to go just under your knee. Kind of like making sure that it goes into the bend of the back of the knee. You can technically go higher, but then it gets complicated because then you have to do a certain kind of wrap, and then you also need to be aware that it's going to be on a moving part, and it's not going to be as good. Okay. Mine has this convenient little strap here that I just kind of loop around and tighten that way. And that's one side done. It definitely doesn't help that they're basically the same color, so it's not very contrasting. There we go. And that's both sides there. This is where it can get a little difficult. Do you want to put your hood on first? So that would go over this, but it would go under your gambeson. Or you could put gambeson first, hood over top. I usually put gambeson first and then hood. It just fits better, it feels better, and it doesn't get caught on the collar as much. So I'm going to put my armor on, and then I'll toss the hood on top as well. Whew. I'm definitely starting to feel like, oh god, what's the little kid from A Christmas Story? Ralphie's brother, whose name I can't remember. Gambeson. This is just another insulating layer at this point. It's not going to be the best. This is a cotton gambeson filled with cotton plush. Cotton is not great for the winter. There is a saying, I'm one of many people in the backpacking community, I go hiking, I go camping. One of the things that's said a lot is cotton kills. Cotton does not dry very quickly. Cotton does not insulate very well, but it's also the most common and abundant fabric you can get your hands on, and it's probably going to be what most things are made of, if not made out of synthetics. I've been trying to get away from synthetic clothing just because I'm tired of feeling plastic, you know? Anyway, so I have this on, and I'm going to throw my hood on now. I've noticed a problem. The more layers I put underneath the gambeson, it doesn't... I can't reach as much. That's fine, that's fine. Okay. So, technically speaking, you can kind of stop here. you have some armor, you have a good kind of aesthetic to you, you got the legs, the wraps, you should be good. Throw on a nice hat, boom. You're LARPing. But I'm gonna take it a step further. More armor. This just whacked me in the head. Anyway. Okay. Chest armor's on. Whew. Now, this is gonna keep me nice and toasty outside. If you are doing a more active LARP, if you're actively fighting, especially in the cold, start cold. I know that's going to be contradictory, but wear less. That's counter to everything I just said. But if you're going to be running around, swinging swords, holding shields, shooting bows, all the things, you want to make sure you're not going to overheat. So you actually want less layers underneath. I'm just going to be standing outside, so I want to be nice and toasty. But if I was going to be actively fighting, I would probably even take off my vest and my sweater underneath, because I have so many layers that are going to keep me warm. So, a little all over the place, but still have access to my hood. Now, I put it underneath my chest armor, mainly because I have this over top layer, and I've noticed that when I put leather, wool, leather, this just spins, meaning the hood eventually comes up and like blocks my face. So I put it underneath because then it's not going to spin around. Now that I have my topmost layer on, I can finally put my hat on. And if you couldn't guess, yes, I am a ranger type character. I use a bow, I also use a sword. If you couldn't guess from the Robin Hood hat. Anyway, so I also have these two archer bracers here. I'm gonna put them on, but I need to also put on my insulated gloves. You can do it one of two ways. You can put the gloves on first and then slide them on top. You can put these on, move the thumb ring, and then put these underneath. There's a bunch of ways to do it. I'm just gonna do it however it works. Nice warm gloves, bracers, armor, hat, hood in case my ears get cold. And now, oops, two items that are last on the list. I think my neighbor's throwing snow off the roof. Anyway, two last things. Belt and cloak. So, when it comes to the belt, this is where you attach your pouches, your sword, shield, whatever you want. I don't have any of that right at this exact moment, mainly because I'm not going anywhere. It also helps keep the armor off your shoulders, though it does kind of... I think it's mainly because I have all the layers on. Anyway. So, this keeps the armor from kind of dragging you down, keeps it off your shoulders, but this is where you would attach pouches, swords, all these other things. Belts, very important. Technically speaking, you can never have enough belts. I'm currently wearing this one, and the one that's keeping my pants on, and with my quiver and my sword harness and everything, I think I end up getting like 5 or 6 belts total. Okay. Last one. Your most exterior insulating layer. The cloak. Mine's just a wool blanket. So for me, I can chuck it over top. I can just kind of leave it like this. Or I have two ways of attaching. This is kind of like a, I don't know what you want to call it, a technical double D ring. It's basically just a circle with a bar through it. The pin brooch, or penannular brooch, or however you want to call it. This one is nice and easy. You just line up the sides you want to connect. Stab it through, flip the ring, have no neck now. But there we go. I keep getting out of frame, and I apologize. But yeah, this is my proper winter setup. Now I know my whole build is supposed to be stealthy and in the woods and whatnot. Not very stealthy when it's all completely blank white outside, but I'm getting a white cloak soon enough. I just need to find a sizable wool blanket for that. Anyway, shall we go outside? Alaska. I think I'm warm enough to continue on this adventure. I just have to get through this snow berm here, so might as well start.
Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Pop Culture Addicts. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@pcapod.com.